a woman just like Emmett Till, and my dad doesn't believe that he did. He said he doesn't know if he did or he didn't. He can't say, but that's what they would say. They use that aggression towards our young boys and blamed it on their attraction to white women. That whole dynamic. It's nothing new. It's the same story.
I
But
mean,
it's
even if he even if he did, obviously, I mean, there's nothing a 7-year-old or any man, there's nothing you could do with your eyes that would should lead to a punishment like that. I mean, I think that's the truth that's there, right? And which I'm sorry about that. That's kind of and what's interesting is I think a lot of us would be surprised by how many black people have some horror story in their family that relates to racism. Like this was systematic. My great great grandfather got lynched, because this white man stepped on his wife's foot and when she was pregnant, and she asked the white man to take his foot off her foot, and I guess something happened where they had a confrontation and they went and killed him. And so this to me speaks about things like reparations and stuff like that. Like there's no debate, and I think in terms of honoring the ancestors, I'm not going to just pass it off just because you want me to feel good about being in 2025. I'm gonna think about 1925, and you owe us for what you did to us and our people. We're cleaning up a big old mess right now because you won't help. You made the mess, but you won't clean it up. You're not taking accountability for what your ancestors did. And so, one more thing I was going to mention on that picture too was the reason I want to encourage you is because I doubt that when they took that picture in 1956, they thought that we'd be having a conversation about this picture with thousands of people watching in 2025, right? And I mention that because I want everybody to understand what you're doing is going to matter. The things you choose to do are going to matter, and the things you choose not to do are going to matter. So this is your opportunity. They're going to be having Zoom meetings and talking about whatever you were doing in 1925, and you don't want them to look back and say, "Oh, they must have been doing a whole bunch of nothing." Right?
right.
That's why we're struggling now because they did a whole
And
bunch of
Dr. Boyce,
nothing.
that still happens in the spaces where, we have non-Black counterparts. It was as early as Friday where somebody's mentioned to me, at what point do we as Black people stop being victims and do so? And I was so infuriated. Of course, I brought it to my sisterhood and was like, "Can you believe this is what I'm dealing with?" And they were like, "Yes, we can believe it, and it is terrible." But people are more emboldened to speak their minds under the current administration in ways that resurface the hate and not even hate, ignorance. My husband helped me calm down too and saying it's ignorance. They don't know about redlining. They don't know about socioeconomic injustice. They don't know about privatization of prisons. They don't understand from our experience. And the woman said, "I'm just trying to play both sides of the coin here." And I said, "The only way you could play both sides of the coin is if you woke up Black one morning." Because
Mm.
so I give it I'm light bright and full of fight. My husband always calls me Angela Davis because I went to UCLA and I'm brewing. Shout out to Bruins, but it infuriates me that there isn't more of a consciousness in humanity about injustice. I feel like it's the same. That's why I was giving appreciation to my grandparents for packing up 11 children, coming out to Los Angeles with nothing for a better life, because it is through their sacrifices that I'm able to do what I'm doing today. And so I definitely could not agree more that we have to apply all the things we're learning with you